Here we are. I am Karla Kyte, owner of My Divorce Mortgage Planning and a CDLP. And today I'm talking with Melissa Simonton. And Melissa, I'll let you give a little bit of background on yourself and your company, and then I'm going to pepper you with a bunch of questions.
Great, thank you. My name is Melissa Simonton. I am a newly licensed legal paraprofessional. I was sworn in with the first cohorts on July 20th in 2024. And shortly after being sworn in, I started my own business, 5280 Licensed Legal Paraprofessional. And it's been fantastic.
So, a lot of people in college, I talk about the LLPs all the time because I love everything about you guys. And so when I talk about you, people don't know who you are, what you are. And I know that the reason that Colorado passed the program, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, is because there are so many pro se cases in the courts and they're bogging down the court system, honestly, because they don't have representation. So all good reason. But I think what they don't know is they don't know how incredibly experienced the LLPs are in Colorado. I want you to speak a little bit about you and your experience because I know you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, so definitely. I have decades experience as a paralegal and a senior paralegal, which is the foundation for my track for becoming an LLP. We applied to the Supreme Court, just like an attorney does, have to go through the extensive background. We had to take an ethics class and pass, and then the rigorous test to become an LLP, which included ethics, an essay, and then specifically regarding family law. It took a lot of studying, and a lot of my experience helped with completing the process of becoming an LLP.
I'm
So
sure. And I've heard that it's kind of equivalent to taking the bar.
it is. I mean, it was written, well, I'm not privy to that information because I wasn't on the committees, but no one, and being the first class, there weren't a lot of preparatory classes. Like
Mhm.
there were, like you could take for becoming an attorney, there's a preparatory bar testing availability. And because we were the first class, we didn't have a lot of that. Community College of Denver did offer the ethics course and a family law course, but we didn't know what to expect for the test. And
Yeah.
so that part was a little bit frightening, but we managed to get through it.
Yeah. So I think, what a lot of people think when I suggest, well, if you're looking for a more affordable option to an attorney, you should try an LLP. And then I have to explain to the consumer what an LLP is. And they're always so shocked at what kind of an experience they could get with an LLP. I think that they're getting something less if they're using an LLP in lieu of an attorney. So what would your response be to that?
Well, my response is that we had to go through the rigorous, while we don't have a license like an attorney does, we do have a limited license. We have experience, we have knowledge, and we have skill. And I believe those are the three things that are a significant requirement for our licensure. And we had to pass the test. And so without
Yeah.
passing that test, we couldn't give it. And so many times as a paralegal, I would be talking to a client and I certainly knew the answer to what they were asking, but I had to say, hold on, let me go ask the attorney. I put it on hold and I either had to schedule a call with the attorney where that was going to cost the client even more money, or I could then say, well, my attorney said I could say this, which is exactly what I would have said if I could have said
You
it
would
on
have
my
said.
own. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's benefits to that. It's such a cost savings to our clients to be
Yeah.
able to afford. A lot of the people, can't afford an attorney, and
Right.
so that right there just tells you having some legal information is way better than having none.
Well, and I think, the experience, especially that you have, because you've been in so long, that alone speaks for itself because from what I know, there's no way that a new attorney in this space would have the knowledge that you have. I mean, this is real working experience, working with people going through divorce. I'm sure you have seen some crazy cases, right? Whereas a new attorney fresh out of law school, they might not see cases like that until they're in for over 5 or 6 years, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's correct. And I don't want to diminish having an attorney or being an attorney because it's
sure.
obviously something to be respectful of. But a new attorney doesn't have the hands-on experience that I've had. And, there's a lot of, as a senior paralegal going through these divorce matters, I mean, I'm the first line of contact. I'm the one that is helping them when, they have all these questions. I can answer some basic questions and kind of,
Mhm.
in some ways I felt like a counselor at times to kind of help them through the emotions of it all. And then we have to get through all of the initial paperwork and the filing of it. And that's so hands-on for us. When we're preparing for trial, I'm meeting with the client just as much as the attorney and getting things prepared. I would say that the cases that I've had, I've been on very high asset cases, and I've been on the opposite side where my attorney was doing the work on a pro bono basis for someone who couldn't afford an attorney, period. And both were equally rewarding. And I learned a lot through the process, and I think it helps me with my current licensure.
Yeah. So you mentioned there are a few limitations, right? Do you want to talk about those at all and just explain like what are your limitations? Because I kind of know them and I don't think there's very many and I don't think most of them even
Well,
matter much in most cases.
yeah, and I'll name a few. So we cannot do things that are contested jurisdiction, common law marriages. We cannot draft prenuptial agreements if there's contested parentage and punitive contempts. We also can't handle those. Um, but we can help people through a divorce or a legal separation. We can help them with the allocation of parental responsibilities, which is basically custody, and we can do modifications thereof. There's
Okay.
also other areas like protection orders, name changes, and we can do contempt,
Okay.
remedial contempt.
So if you do have a case that ends up going to court, you can still go to court with them,
Yes,
correct?
yes, we can still go to court. There are some limitations there in that we cannot cross-examine witnesses. And so
Okay.
that we can do opening statements, closing statements. We can object to exhibits and statements and things of that nature. However, the client would be responsible for cross-examining the witness and presenting her case herself or himself. And
But you
so,
can be there with them,
yeah,
coaching them, talking to them,
that
and
is
being
correct.
there for their support, right?
That is correct. Personally, my preferred practice is going to be where if I feel like a case can't settle, I'm collaborating with an attorney to actually go to the hearing with a client. I feel that for me, that's in their best interest, especially if there's an attorney on the other side. I feel like at that stage, if I can't get to the settlement place for them, then I think their best course of action is to really retain an attorney. But the great thing for me is the collaboration. I can get them all the way to, and even through the preparation of for the hearing, and the attorney comes in and does everything for the hearing. So
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that honestly, like that's an amazing process, right? I mean, I think that is a huge savings. And I know not everyone is super conscious, but I talk to a lot of consumers and that's their number one thing. I mean, they want to figure out how they can get through this without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we all know that some divorces can cost that much, right? So,
we can go to mediation. We can work through settlements. We can talk with opposing party, opposing counsel. We can negotiate on behalf of the client and obviously advocate for our client. We can draft motions and all kinds of pleadings and their final agreements, and along with their financial disclosures and everything else that goes along with that. So there's so much that we can do and that we are capable of doing at that cost savings.
Yeah. And I just feel like, well, so when I teach continuing education to realtors and I explain this LLP space and they're all, what? What is that? Right. And I tell them basically in the past, like as a paralegal, even though they knew the answer to the question, they could not answer your question.
Sure.
But now it's like the handcuffs have been taken off and they can now answer your questions
It's
safely.
like a nurse practitioner, Karla, as an
Love it.
example. And the big thing for us is getting the word out, getting us out to the public, letting the public know about us. Judges are excited about us. The Supreme Court is very supportive of us. I've been invited to go to high schools to talk to younger people, to excite them about the law, about becoming a paralegal and becoming an LLP. And the beauty of that too is to inspire them to be a business owner. And because it's possible, I love inspiring that. And the kids are so excited after we leave. That's a great feeling.
That is awesome. I didn't know that you were doing that. That's very cool.
It is very exciting because the kids are interested in the law. And I think it's just maybe a little extra push to get them in,
Mhm.
and some are on the attorney track, which is great. And it just gives them maybe a little more inspiration to keep going.
Yeah. But I mean, let's be honest, not everybody can afford the attorney track,
Correct.
right? And
Correct. Mhm.
right. So, I mean, I love that this is another opportunity for them. I love that it's an opportunity for you guys. And I think honestly, it's an opportunity for consumers as well, right?
Absolutely. Without this licensure, I could have never started my own business. I could have
Mhm.
never, come to this place. And I feel that what I have done since I've started my business is just great. Like I'm able to slide my rate to people who are of lesser means. And I've settled some pretty good cases that really would not have settled had they not had some legal assistance. And really, it's so rewarding for me, to be
Yeah,
quite honest. I know that my clients are getting a lot out of it, but I also am by
I
just
love
being
that.
able to help them through this entire process.
And it's not like I really don't see it as the LLPs taking any business away from the attorneys. I see it as consumers having a more affordable option that they can actually now have some representation where they could not have representation before.
Sure. And I mean, it's very daunting when you are trying to do something that you have no knowledge about.
Yeah.
And going through this process, it's difficult, it's emotional, it's stressful. There's a lot of paperwork. Sometimes there's just, a lack of, even being able to get on the internet to be able to get it and to
Hmm.
get the information that you need. The likelihood of this type of client being able to afford an attorney is very rare. And so I think that being able to provide services to the people of lesser means is amazing. And to be able to qualify for services through, organizations, you have to be 125% below the poverty line. And that's daunting. There are so many people that do not even qualify for help.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I feel we're very needed. When I meet with judges, they're very excited about us. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah. So before we finish up here, is there a specific case that you've worked on? Because you've just been an LLP now for just under a year. Is there a specific case that resonates with you or that was very meaningful?
I had an allocation of parental responsibilities, and it was a very young family, and I was able to get them through and get a parenting plan drawn out for them that I think was fair and had the best interests of the children. It was creative, and because they were very young children, I just feel like I made a difference in those kids' lives. And that's what's so important. I also was able to write 3 articles for the Denver docket for the Denver Bar Association, really trying to get more information out about LLPs. It was about what is an LLP, and then I went into what our scope is, and then really expanding on how the LLP is supporting the legal community. And that was pretty exciting too.
I love it. I love all of it. So if people want to get in touch with you, how do they find you? Do you have a website?
Do have a
Where
website.
can they find Melissa?
Yeah, I do have a website. It is 5280. You can shorten it 5280 licenselegalparaprofessional.com or 5280-llp.com. It's currently being renovated. Hopefully it'll be up in the next 2 weeks.
It'll probably be up by the time this goes out.
I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to talk about the LLP program, what it has done for me and my career. The other thing I'd love to share is that I'm able to volunteer. I'm able to go to organizations that need help to help people with legal advice, go to the courts, to their self-help centers and provide advice. And
Love it.
I'm big on giving back and making sure that we, feed that community that needs us.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Part of that, now that you have the expertise to do it, but the other part of that is just having the time, right? Because you are a business owner now, so you can schedule that time out to do the volunteering.
Well, there is balance. It promotes my business because it gets the word out about LLPs. Again, so many people don't know about us. And so when you're meeting with other people, the volunteerism also, it could be a potential for a new client. So it goes both ways. So I'm able to spread the word. The Supreme Court is working really hard to help us get our licensure known. And they're also making some modifications this year. So hopefully that will help us in furthering what we can do.
So thank you so much, Melissa. Is there anything else that you want to say before we sign off here?
No, I just thank you so much for helping with this and everything that you do for the community, because I know you do a lot also.
Well, thanks. I love to showcase the LLPs. I think you guys are amazing.
And you are my go-to girl for all my real estate stuff. So
well, thanks.
I appreciate you back.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon, and I will see you soon.
Thank you.